Hello and welcome to Cycling Through Life. I'm Thad. Happy New Year. I appreciate you joining me. As you can see, the sun is out and it's a beautiful morning. The temperature is in the upper 40s. But the sun makes it feel a little bit better. Sorry, I'm breathing heavy because I'm riding. Had a pretty good pace today. The wind is picking up. It's not terrible, but as you're watching the video, it's on my right shoulder. And so far I've been riding about 40 minutes and averaging about 21 and a half miles an hour. So trying to get a good workout. So for those of you that missed episode 1, a little bit about my background. I'm a guy in my mid-50s, riding bikes for 25 years or so. Raced for a little over 10 years. And have learned a lot. And what I wanted to share with you today was some of the mistakes I made, lessons I learned about nutrition on the bike. If you're a seasoned cyclist, this is probably no-brainer or elementary to you, but if you're a beginner or if you've been riding a while and you still struggle with endurance or muscular endurance, maybe something that I say today will help you. So typically on a ride, back when I was racing and training, on my training rides, I use a power meter and it would tell me the amount of, still does, but it tells me the amount of kilojoules that I burn or calories. And back when I was fast and fit, I would burn anywhere around 800 to 875 calories an hour. On a really good day, I'd be right at 900 an hour. Now, the day that I'm slower, my old man muscles aren't as strong to push the big watts. I burn around 750 an hour, which is not bad. On really bad days, I'm at 650 to 700, so very big drop off. Sorry about the nose blowing. This wind and allergies has got me already. Anyway, that number is important to know when you're riding. And when I first started, I didn't know that number. I didn't have a power meter. I used a heart rate monitor, but that was all over the place because of my adaptation to cycling. And I'm not as a believer in heart rate as I am power, because heart rate is so sensitive. If it's hot, or you're not feeling good, the heart rate's going to be a lot higher. If you're fatigued, the heart rate's going to be lower because you can't push yourself to where you want to go, but you're still working hard, so you're burning. It's just not as specific in my mind. Now, that's just me. I'm sure you're going to get a long list of endurance experts that are heart rate believers, and that's fine. I'm not knocking, I'm just saying what works for me. So early on when I started, I really struggled. You got it? Sorry, I just didn't want my voice to fight the wind. But early on, I struggled. I would be great for about an hour and a half or 2 hours. And as I got better, I would join club rides, local cyclists, not necessarily racers, just bike riders. And I would always do great for the first half to 2/3 of the ride. And then my legs would shut down. My body just could not push the pedals like I was used to. And I couldn't figure it out. I hadn't ridden with people that really educated me, as I talked about before. Like, they were just out there riding every man for themselves, trying to get a good ride in. I mean, you're talking about other things, but you're not really teaching anybody anything. At that point, those guys weren't. And I remember very vividly my first 3-hour ride. I was going hard. I was feeling good. And I pushed myself to do the 3-hour ride because my fitness was a lot better. I was drinking water at the time, and that's it. That's just all I had done, running. I didn't really drink swimming, so I didn't think of anything else. I didn't really worry about it. So in this 3-hour ride, I get about 2.5 hours in. I'm heading for home because I rode from my house to the ride. And I am crawling, almost in tears. And I am seriously 3 miles from my house. And I could not turn the pedals over one more revolution. Across this road right here. I ended up pulling over at this store, called my sister. At the time, I wasn't married or had anybody else. She lived close by. And I called her, just was like, hey, sorry to bother you. I can't get home. I was absolutely destroyed, depleted. So I just told myself it was because I hadn't done the miles and I wasn't fit enough. But as I eventually learned, if I'm burning these calories, I got to replace at least some of them. So it took me a long time to figure that out. But first I started with drink mixes. I would do a drink back then called Cytomax. It was a powder of electrolytes mixed in your water. I tried Gatorade mixes. This other drink called Goo2O. I mean, I tried them all. And for me, they were all too sweet and syrupy. And they just made my stomach do flips. I would get queasy during rides, and they just weren't for me. So I went back to water, and a buddy of mine introduced me to Endurolite capsules, tablets, whatever. They're basically like electrolytes in a capsule form. Man, this hill is getting me today. So started taking those. My riding got a lot better because I'm a heavy sweater. Morning. And again, I'm late 20s, early 30s, new to endurance sports. I mean, when I grew up playing football and basketball, if you needed water, you were a sissy. You know, you were weak. So that's just the mentality that I grew up on. And as I've mentioned, the internet really wasn't a thing. So I had to learn a lot. Speaking of, I've noticed when I do these videos, I don't drink. And after I'm done, I'm like, gotta get home. I'm like, oh shoot, I got a bottle left or a bottle and a half anyway. I need to start drinking more when I'm doing these. So I still wasn't feeling great at the end of rides. And I started adopting a gel, power bar gels, goos. They now have honey stingers. There's all kind of gels. And that really helped me. The other mistake I was doing was listening to people that are like, you got to carbo load before you go ride. And so I'm having these big dinners on a Friday night before a big ride, like pasta or, you know, something like that, thinking that's going to carry me through the ride. At the time, I was getting up having a bagel with peanut butter and a Diet Coke. I was a Diet Coke drinker. That wasn't helping my dehydration problems at all. And I just, by the time I started riding, I felt like crap because I had this gut full of food that I thought would just carry me through the whole ride. So I had to learn to adapt and change. So what I changed to was a smaller meal at breakfast. I didn't really care what I ate the night before. I didn't feel like I had to stuff my face. And it was, one day I was at a race, and I was standing at the start line, and I look over, and this guy is shoving 2 Pop-Tarts in his mouth right at the start. And I was like, that's odd. So I started learning more about Pop-Tarts, not as a kid, but as a pre-workout meal, and found out that they're actually pretty good, full of carbs and sugars for like that energy spike that you're gonna burn through when riding harder. Not as heavy on your system. So I switched after that to a Diet Coke and Pop-Tarts for breakfast before my rides. And shockingly enough, it worked. Made a difference. I showed up at rides not as full and heavy feeling. The amount of carbs in the morning helped me. And still today, I'll do a couple Pop-Tarts before I go for a ride. But I switched the Diet Coke. I searched for something for a while to give me some caffeine that tasted well with no calories, because I'm still, even today, conscious about, to some degree, just wasted calories. I mean, if I can drink a Diet Coke instead of a Coke and avoid the sugar and calories, I will. And I found a drink. It's an energy drink. I'm sure you've maybe seen it, called C4. It's got no sugar, maybe 5 calories, if that. But it's got 200 milligrams of caffeine. And it has this ingredient in it called quercetin. And I read about it, looked up some information on it, and it's good for muscle endurance and athletic performance. So now today, I'll drink a C4 before my ride and a Pop-Tart, or 2 Pop-Tarts. And it's really giving me an energy, not make me feel heavy, and it gives me sustainability to get me through what I need that day. So that's the start. As far as drinking during a ride, and I know I'm all over the place, but I'm just, as thoughts come to me, drinking during a ride, this time of year when it's cooler, spring, fall, I'll drink 1 water bottle an hour, or try to. That's just kind of what I've always heard, is a bottle an hour. When it's during the summer and I sweat profusely, I'm doing a bottle every 45 minutes. So if I'm going much over 2 hours, I'll need to find a store stop on the way to refill to get home. I'm now taking salt stick pills. They're an Endurolite or electrolyte pill. And I take 4 of them to start the ride. And then every hour I'll take another 3 or 4, depending on how hot it is, how hard I'm riding, those type of things. I've checked with a physician. They are safe. As long as I'm drinking water and exercise, I can pretty much take as many as needed, because I am burning through so much sweat and salt. There was a ride back in 2019 that I did in June. It wasn't blazing hot, but it was a little warm. I rode 80 miles in 4 hours. I was preparing for kind of a century/race. And I did 16 Endurolites, 6 bottles of water, and I was still salty when I got home. Salt all over my jersey and my shorts. I can't get enough to make sure that I survive and get done what I need done. So if you're struggling with dehydration, I strongly recommend the salt stick pills. They also have chewables, if that's better for you. And then on the longer rides, I started during my racing career adopting a Cliff Bar or a power bar in the middle of the ride, because the goos and the gels just weren't enough. So about halfway through a ride, if I'm going 3 hours or more, I would start eating a bar. It's funny, as I watch some of my teammates, they would eat Rice Krispie treats at the store. They would get oatmeal cream pies, Little Debbie's. Everybody was looking for sugar and carbs, because the harder you ride, you're not burning through fat, you're burning sugar. And so you get off that bike, you are craving sugar because you're absolutely depleted on a hard ride. Slower rides burn fat. We'll get into that another day. But so I started incorporating a bar until I did this one 115-mile ride, the longest ride / race that I've done. That's the one I talked about in 2019, but I did it again before. I don't remember exactly when. Maybe 07, 06 maybe. I don't remember. But it's 115 miles. There is a 30-mile climb near the end, and you descend 15 miles into the finish. And it is brutal. It's called the Cherahala Challenge in southeastern Tennessee. You can look it up. It's very cool. They have timing. So if you finish in a certain time, you get a medal and you win and all this. But anyway, I get to a rest stop about halfway up the climb, and I am like tired. Not depleted of energy, of power and strength. I'm just physically tired. And at the rest stop, they had your usual peanut butter and jellies and chocolate chip cookie with peanut butter in the middle, all that stuff to give you sugar. But they also had the snack size paydays. And I think I'd already had some peanut butter and jelly earlier in the day. So I grabbed some paydays, popped them in my mouth. And man, I don't know what happened, but I got a jolt of energy that I hadn't experienced after about 4 hours on the bike. I guess it was the sugar from the caramel, the salt and protein from the peanuts. I was like a new man. Me and my buddy killed the rest of the ride. And from that day forward, and now instead of a Cliff Bar or a power bar, I now will eat a payday in the middle of my ride if I'm going long. One, they're cheaper. And two, they give me the same benefits. So if you're looking for a spark in the middle of your rides, maybe try a payday. So in summary, a bottle of water for me every hour to 45 minutes, depending on the temperature. 4 3 to 4 Enduralites or electrolyte pills every 45 minutes to an hour. And a payday in the middle of the ride if I'm going longer. And that usually gets me home. But then to finish it off, I know this is a longer video, but I would get home and I would be starving because in my mind, I was riding to lose weight. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to eat and I'll burn more. But I was getting home and eating way more than I just burned. And another friend of mine, probably one of the fastest riders in Middle Tennessee, he told me at the end of the ride, as you're riding home, eat everything in your pocket. Eat everything that you bought. Gels, bars, whatever. As you're riding, you're still burning at a faster rate. But when you get off the bike, you're not going to have that hunger sensation. And he was so true. So now if I go on a long ride, and for whatever reason I didn't eat my payday, or I had a couple gels left, it may be 30 minutes. In the past, I'd been like, oh, I'll get home. I feel okay. Now, I'm taking them or eating them, and when I get home, I'm not like emptying the pantry or the fridge out of starvation. So, another tip, hopefully it helps you. Check out this road. It's beautiful. But nutrition on the bike is a very unique thing. It's different for everybody. What works for one person may not work for you. What works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for me. All of that. So it's kind of like a trial and error thing. Just try different things. Don't be afraid to fail. And don't be afraid to try new things. It's all about enjoying the ride on the bike without bonking, which for the non-cyclist is absolutely what I did on that ride, where I couldn't pedal to get home. And just having the energy and strength to enjoy your ride to the fullest. So I hope you found some valuable information. If you have any questions about anything, shoot me a comment. I'll be happy to help. Again, I'm no expert. I'm not a nutritionist or some personal trainer. I'm just a guy that has tried many different things and failed at a lot of them, and have now found a routine or things that work for me, and hopefully they'll work for you. So again, I apologize for the long video, but I appreciate you guys. If you're still here making it to the end, I'd appreciate a like. If you're not a subscriber, let's go, man. Hopefully I'll be bringing you lots of videos in 2026. But until then, y'all get home safe.